Welcome to Principles of Contracts and Negotiations with your instructor, Jessica Nielsen. I've been a lawyer for 20 years, primarily litigation, dealing with contract and employment law in Los Angeles and Boston. I also had a practice in Washington, dealing with contract law and personal injury. I did a considerable amount of negotiation. Recently, I negotiated to get a Seattle rock band out of a bad contract. I have three degrees: a bachelor's in English literature from Whitworth in Spokane, a Juris Doctorate from University of Oregon, and a LLM in contract law from Harvard Law School, and this qualifies me as loving contract law. Let's look at the syllabus. Um, I have office hours Monday through Thursday, 2:30 to 3:30, Friday by appointment only. You can contact me via email, phone. You can also click the link that says jnielsen.youcanbook.me to make an appointment at other times. The class is organized by week. You just double click on the folder that contains the week that we're in. Unless otherwise specified, weekly appointments are due by 11:59 p.m. on the Sunday of that week. You should have the 6th edition of Basic Contract Law for Paralegals by Jeffrey Hellowitz. If you have an earlier edition, that's okay, but you'll note that the page numbers are off. Same with Getting to Yes. You need the 2nd or 3rd edition from Penguin. Again, I'll cite to the 3rd edition, but you'll have to find the page numbers if you have an earlier edition. The grading focuses on 25 points for each of 10 weeks for weekly exercises. We'll have a midterm and a final. We'll have a relatively big project which involves drafting a contract and critiquing somebody else's contract. And then there may be some miscellaneous assignments that come to my mind as we go forward. There are 3 quarter-long projects that are noted on the syllabus, and they're due in the week indicated on the syllabus. I will provide reminders as we go along. In particular, the draft contract is something that you can start thinking about as early as now. I'll post the actual assignment in week 2, but basically it is selecting a contract that you might be likely to deal with in your professional career and drafting it to your expectations and then critiquing somebody else's. You'll also have an opportunity to reflect on what you've learned regarding negotiation skills at the end of the quarter. The time that it's due is specified in the syllabus. There's a description of what is required for that assignment in the syllabus itself. And then also there's a report on what's called a non-negotiable issue that's also specified when it's due in the syllabus. The idea behind that project is some things we tend to think of as non-negotiable. However, if you are aware of opportunities, you can find places where you can negotiate and surprise yourself at doing quite well. We've had people negotiate bus passes for their internships, cable bills, points on their credit card. They've negotiated the price of various items that they purchased. It's something to start thinking about. I'll describe it in more detail coming up, but basically you're going to challenge yourself to negotiate a situation you don't normally negotiate. Maybe it's not technically non-negotiable per se because we're hoping that you can negotiate it, but it's something that you don't typically negotiate. The way I would use the syllabus is as a kind of a big picture guide as to where we're going. Then it has the major due dates for the long quarter long projects, and then the weekly folders will contain the week by week assignments, and it'll tell you specifically what you have to do to complete a week. So I've just cut here over to the Angel website just to take a look at it. As you can see, I've got a questions for Jessica folder. Those are questions that you think that the whole class might benefit from learning the answer to. There's a coffee house, which is a place that you can chat about anything you want. I'm hoping you guys form some relationships and kind of bond with each other through that place. Week 1 folder is active right now. The other weeks are not active. I will make the next week active, I believe, on Thursday, to give people who are interested in working ahead an opportunity to do that. So right now I'm going to click on week 1, And as you can see in week 1, you can pick up your assignments here, turn them in here, introduce yourself on the discussion board, and then there's a substantive discussion board, which means it deals with contract law. So there's actually 2 discussion boards, and that's unusual. We typically will only have one, but it's week 1 and we need to get to know each other. And then you have this little thing that says you know you're done with week 1 when you have, and then it has a list of things to do. So that will help you organize yourself. Week 1 is a little busier than normal because we're trying to get to know each other and trying to get some basic things in place. How to succeed in this course? I really hope that you will form informal groups of 3 to 4 and support each other. This is really a student-led course rather than an instructor-driven course. Don't wait for me to send out emails. Interact with each other about the content and really help process it with each other. In terms of exams, 90% of the exam will focus on contract law, with 10% being negotiations. Really, the challenge is the new terminology. There's a lot of new language and understanding how that language is applied in a factual setting. In fact, this is a good course for index cards if that suits your style of learning. What we're ultimately going to do on the test is we're going to do what's called issue spotting. Issue spotting is looking at a set of facts and determining what the legal issue is. That's part of the challenge of the exam, which I'll go over again as we get closer to the exam, but just to let you know, that's the important stuff that we're going to focus on. Well, gosh, you may ask, how am I going to negotiate in an online class? Well, this is my first time teaching this class online, and I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work out, but I'm hopeful that this will work. You're going to find a negotiation partner for the quarter. That's either someone you know or someone who you can identify with a common interest, or someone you would think you'd potentially get along with. And if you don't do either of those 2 methods, I will match up people who need a little assistance. Basically, you're just going to kind of coordinate the times that you're available, and then when you have a negotiation assignment, which you don't have this week, week 2 you will. Week 2 you will have a negotiation assignment. Week 1 you do not, that you have to negotiate with somebody else. So by week 2, try to identify someone who can be a negotiation partner for you for the quarter. We'll have 3 or 4 negotiation projects that you'll have to do via phone or Skype or in person or email, however you choose to do it. But you'll have to negotiate those 3 or 4 exercises electronically. Some of you have looked at degree audit and you realize that contracts is shown below the legal electives. That's just a glitch on my end. I'm trying to correct it as we speak, but basically this class does count as a legal elective and it does count toward the paralegal degrees despite what degree audit tells you. And be sure to ask questions if you are confused. Don't just let it slide. One of the hardest things about an online course is that you don't see people and it's easy just to let your questions slide. I want you to stay engaged, be active, and get involved in this class. So every week I would look ahead to the syllabus for the reading and any long-term projects that are going to be due later in the quarter. Then I would go to Angel and I would check the appropriate week's assignments. You are going to need potentially a scanner to get some PDF documents turned in to me. If you don't have a scanner, let me know and I'll see if I can have a workaround. It may involve just some more typing on your end. And that's it. So next, go to the substantive video, which is about the substantive contract law that we covered this week. Thanks.